question, and what difference does it make banning these people? Those were all things he brought up that I couldn't help but agree with. But hearing this Mizzou story and seeing how the events transpired and how everything unfolded, I couldn't help but think that, wow, what if the Dallas Cowboys players or coaching staff or, some combination of that came out and said, well, we're not going to play. We're not going to show up for games because we're so against, what is being done by a person to another person, and we don't want to have any attachment to it whatsoever. We don't want to support it in any way. It would never happen. First and foremost, it can happen in the world of college athletics because there's the millions of dollars that are involved aren't for the players. The only body who makes money in the world of college sports is the coaches and the university. But in pro sports, you've got so many millionaires that would really not be willing to sacrifice their paychecks to, make a stand similar to that. At least not in my opinion. But it is something that's possible. It could be done theoretically like it was done here. And if it were done, holy cow, that would hit any NFL owner's pocketbook, bottom line, big time. It would hit the league big time, both in the pocketbook and the negative publicity. So the ultimate thing I took away from Mizzou is that whatever injustice, socially, morally, whatever, that people may feel is going on in the world of sports, there is always likely some theoretical way or thing you can do to have your voice be heard and make the change that you feel necessary. So super encouraging. Ultimately, almost all positives. The fact that this type of stuff has to happen in the first place is where the only negative of this comes from. But everything that happened over the course of the story and how it played out is fantastic. Really couldn't be any better. And don't be surprised if someday you see a Hollywood movie or maybe just, like a Hallmark or a Lifetime or Disney Channel movie or something, loosely based off of this story. Because, like I said, just the human elements that came together here are very unique and special. And I wanted to share that with you. So that was my main topic that from right out of the gate I was like, I wanted to share with you guys. I'm on fire about this. Found out, was it yesterday or today? Might have been today. The other big college football story here in Minnesota regarding our coaching staff. Now, just 2 weeks ago, our former head coach, Jerry Kill, announced his sudden retirement, which, if you listen to the show, you heard me compare him to a heroin addict and a junkie in his acceptance or in his retirement speech, and that I absolutely can't stand that guy, and you should in no means misinterpret anything he did, at least at that retirement speech, as something to sympathize with or empathize with or feel sorry for or anything. Other than the reason for his, having to resign, give up his coaching responsibilities, other than those health reasons, which I do not wish on anyone, and I really hope that, he's able to get healthy as soon as possible and stay that way for a very, very long time. But everything he said in his press conference about how he felt and what he thought about literally everything, that came up was just borderline repulsive to me. A lot of people found it extremely moving and touching and whatever. So, well, you're really gullible if that was the case. Like you're the type of person that probably thinks everybody is a good guy until proven otherwise. Whereas me, I am the type of person who realizes that everyone is both a good guy and a bad guy, a hero and a villain, all at the same time, all coexisting in one entity. So I was able to, see through all the BS in Kill's retirement press conference and really strip it down to what it all was, which was an addict throwing a giant pity party for himself who doesn't get to enjoy their drug of choice anymore, which in Jerry Kill's instance is football, coaching football. But, so we had interim Coach Clays, who was the defensive guy, took over 2 weeks ago. When he got the job, he was saying that he'd like to find out right away, as soon as possible, if they're going to be re-signing him or not. Almost begging borderline for it the last 2 weeks, like, re-sign me or let me know that you're not. So it just so happened that, I believe it was this morning, again, it might have been yesterday, but Mr. Clays was signed to a 3-year contract. I believe that starts after this season. That does not include any of what he's doing this year. It is going to pay him approximately $1.5 million for those 3 seasons. Basically, it will be a 1 to 2 year audition contract for a real contract. To follow that, where it would be multiple, $2 to $5 million a year, and 5 to 10 years on the contract. So it's not too terribly long term. Nothing that's going to be, fiscally irresponsible should it not work out from a success standpoint. Knowing how important recruiting is to college football, and then knowing that as their season is winding down now, the high school season is ending, as I mentioned earlier, it is a big recruiting time. And so recruiting going forward, as well as the recruiting that you've already done, is very, very important. And I feel that both for the rest of this season and at least next season moving forward, the safest, smartest choice for the Gophers was to re-sign Clays to a contract, very similar to what they signed him to. The ultimate best case scenario would have been if he would have played out this interim gig this season. Then we go into the off season, we look at every option that we have available to us, and out of those options, we do diligent research and arrive on a very well thought out decision in regards to who to take, who can lead the program from here. And maybe it still is Clays, hopefully. I think ideally you want to take your guy, put him up against all the other guys and go, no, see, we even did that. Our guy still beat out every other guy. Our guy's the best guy. That's why he's our guy. But the problem with that, or at least with waiting, with putting it off and trying to have a big, interview process, like I said, with the recruitment, timing and everything, the Gophers aren't, who's to say what they're even who would even be interested in that job? So if you lose ground, or pick the wrong guy, but it just, you've got the risk reward. Let's put it this way, okay? Let's just sum it up and keep moving forward. The risk reward, the risk was very little, or at least as little risk as possible, signing Clays to this 3-year contract. The reward is almost as big as, with anyone else. Unless you could get a real, big time coach, like someone like Urban Meyer or Jim Harbaugh or, Steve Sarkisian. No, just joking on that one. But, a Nick Saban, a big time, this guy's been a successful college football coach type of guy. I don't think the Gophers have a chance at getting anyone like that. It's likely that, Clays is very similar to anyone else that they would have a chance at getting for the job. So if that's the case, if you know that the competition's all kind of in that similar range anyway, why not stay in-house, try to continue a little bit of stability. But you do need to build your own thing as well. And that's where I listened to the Clays press conference on KFAN 100.3 here in Minnesota, our sports talk headquarters. I listened to the Clays press conference when they announced his 3-year deal. And the one question that I would have liked to ask him, had I been invited, a-holes, was this, is that, we all know that you're coming from the Jerry Kill tree of coaching, that you've been with him for quite some time, since before Minnesota here, and that, there's going to be a lot of continuing to try and build and move forward with things that he had established here in Minnesota. Can you please let us know of any unique things that you're going to do in regards to both not only coaching the team, but even more importantly, building and shaping the program here for years to come? How are you going to be different than Jerry Kill, I guess, is, would be the summed up, shortened down, edited version that I would have had to ask in person. But, and that remains to be seen, and he might not even know yet, how he's going to differ from Coach Kill, because this is his first head coaching gig. He's always been an assistant or a coordinator, something along those lines. He's never had a head coaching gig, at least not in college football that I'm aware of. So, he'll be learning a little bit of that as he goes. Where I am very encouraged, and I said this from the beginning of this season, I said this, if we go back on Spreaker and find the episodes and listen to them, our Gophers, under the Kill era, and especially this season, the Gophers teams have been defensive teams, and Jerry Kill was an offense-only guy. He was not an offensive mind. He was the offensive mind. And our offenses stunk underneath him. But the defenses were great, and that was because of Clays. So I'm hoping that helps to change the identity of, I'm hoping that that's one of those unique differences, is that we end up with much more of a respectable, standard, legitimate Big Ten image, of being very physical and hitting people in the mouth, well, not literally, Geno Smith, it's okay, you can come out, you can get up now, you can come out, but establishing an identity as a power physical team, whereas with Coach Kill, while he tried to have a power physical running game in his offense was always very Chip Kelly-ish in nature. Like, he wanted to be as gimmicky and run and gun and throw it around and just, silly, stupid, let's see if we can score 150 points type of stuff. Granted, the personnel as of late didn't allow him to call those plays like he wanted with as much frequency. But